Good morning, Don't Unfriend Me Nation. Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me Show. This episode wasn't supposed to happen. Supposed to be Friday night. Still Point was going to come on. We were going to talk a little bit about just everything. The days, the weeks, the months that are all blended into obscurity because the news cycle is always the same. It's the left saying that the world's going to end with climate change, that the neo-Nazi movement inside the conservatives is running rampant, that Joe Biden is the greatest president since Abraham Lincoln met George Washington, met Kennedy. And the right, of course, is saying that if it's not Islam and Sharia law are coming to the United States, or the communist socialists are going to take over and change everything about our country and destroy the Constitution and shred it into oblivion, that the bleeding hearts are trying to come after our children and turn them all gay, that nobody wants to have children on the left, they just want to abort them. I mean, all these things. And if you're the person on the left or the right who just goes, oh how I can't believe he said that. He's a rhino, or well, he's not a real conservative. He's not a real liberal. I'm neither. I'm neither. I am the party I belong to. Pretty simply, is the IDGAF party. I don't give a party. I don't care what side of the aisle something comes down. If it's good for America and it's good for the citizens of this country and celebrates individual rights versus collectivism, if it's a populist belief, I'm good with that. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that some of the things that you're about to hear in this show have not happened on the left, and I've attacked people. But context is a beautiful thing. And I think that repeated comments that degrade other people are absolutely deplorable and abhorrent in a civilized society. However, sometimes you say something you don't mean. I've been doing this show now for 3 years, and I promise you, if you go back and look at the tape, there is something in the tape where you would consider it racist. There might have been something that I've said that absolutely is racist, and I'm not aware. I guarantee there's things that I've said that are sexist on purpose. There are times where I've had a caller call in and I disagree with vehemently. And you may find that the way that I treated that caller was sexist or rude or misogynistic. All of that, times 10. Because we try to have real conversations on the show, and it may not be popular, and it may draw some people away, but at least it's real. At least it's genuine. If you go digging for trash, you're going to find it. I promise you that. There is no doubt every single person on the planet has skeletons in their closet. From the 2-year-old who goes and steals a cookie and lies about it, all the way up to an 80-something-year-old man who takes money from communist China. Everyone's got dirt. I've got dirt. You've got dirt. We all have dirt. The question is have we learned from it? Do we continue down that road? Now, as far as Joe Biden, if we want to make a compromise in comparison and contrast here, I'll do that. I'll make a compromise with the right, and I'll point out Joe Biden's racism, which I've done a million times before. But if you hear this video, you're like, oh, well, Matt's just coming down on the right, or he's coming down on the left. No, I'm coming down on a legacy of shows that formulate an opinion. And that's the thing about my shows. They're synonymous. They usually have a reoccurring theme. They try to be full of honor and integrity, standing up for what's right. Not necessarily focusing on the minutia, but trying to look at the collective when it comes to the forest or the trees perspective. And there are certain groups of people that I have served with, I have worked with, and I admire and respect above all else. And whether that's Force Recon Marines or Navy SEALs or British SAS, whether it's SAR divers, whether it's Delta, doesn't matter. Hell, I'll even throw Rangers in there too if they want to be. They're going to get upset if I don't say Rangers. Dime a dozen, but Rangers. United States and World Special Forces are an elite group of people who are a cut above the rest. And their specific mission it makes them at a level that is completely unsurpassed and unchallenged. They are professionals at what they do. They are commandos of the upper echelon. Now, you might say, well, is there anybody that can rival their skill set? Of course. If you want a bunch of SEALs and Force Recon guys to shoot three-pointers at an NBA distance, I promise you they're going to fail. Now, they're going to train at it as hard as they can, but they're not going to play in the NBA. If you want them to paint a recreation of something from Michelangelo, I promise you it's going to have to be paint by numbers. But if you want a mission executed from start to finish, and for someone who will not give up, no matter how hurt, how injured, debilitated, no matter the consequence, no matter the situation, no matter the parameters and conditions, they will negotiate with themselves to continue. And as long as there's fight left in them, they will continue to fight. There is something admirable about that. There is something uniquely affable. Because I've known a lot of special warfare operators, and I will tell you that they are some of the most humble people outside of their profession. But when they punch the clock, you better not be in the way of their mission. Come hell or high water, whether you are an asset or a threat, if you stand in the way, you will be dealt with an extreme prejudice. And there is something, like I said, admirable about that type of person. Now that I've spent 7 minutes setting this up, I will tell you that Eli Crane is not my friend. I'm not Eli's friend because if Eli was making a list of people he had to check in on, I would not be on the list. Does that mean that Eli doesn't know who I am? Of course he knows who I am. We've had several conversations. And whether it be through text while he's on the floor ready to vote, or whether it's an interview that we sat down and do with Don't Unfriend Me and the show, or drinking whiskeys at Grunt Style and Burbiz events in Las Vegas at SHOT Show. He's not my friend. Now, do I consider myself friendly with Eli? Of course. If the guy needed something and he asked, I would go through hell or high water. Am I biased? I don't think so. Eli Crane is a lot of things. Do I feel that I can speak about him articulately and with the foresight and hindsight to give you an accurate portrayal of who he is? Yes, I do. Do I think I can do that better than 99% of the people doing it right now? Yes. Unless they're in his corner. Because there are people who are a hell of a lot more prominent in this field than I am who are going to his defense, I'm sure. I haven't looked. I saw this late last night. This isn't for Eli Crane. Eli Crane doesn't need me. Eli Crane will fight this battle on his own. And in my opinion, he will never apologize. And he shouldn't. And if he does, I'll be a little disappointed. Because people slip up. People make mistakes. Just like Joe Biden on stage with Finland calling Zelensky Vladimir Putin is a mistake. Just like him calling black children roaches is a mistake. Just like he's talking about kids jumping up and down on his lap. And he loves kids and they would rub the hair in his leg up and down in the pool. Just like he dropped the N-bomb how many times over his career. Just like he made decisions to hang out with KKK members. Byrd, Wallace, Thurman, eulogized funerals of prominent Klan members. We all make mistakes. One has a history of repeatedly making mistakes, and I put him on the spotlight as often as I can. Eli Crane has been doing some things for his country besides risking his life as a United States Navy SEAL. You may remember him from Shark Tank, where he went on and became an entrepreneur making Bottle Breacher, a fantastic line of product that used things that you would never expect to perform a task, like a grenade opening a bottle. When you first hear that, you say, well, the bottle wouldn't be left. But aha, a bottle opener at the bottom of a grenade where the insert core is replaced is an amazing idea. Or using a 50 cal round to have a bottle opener. He turned this into a multi-million-dollar business. And if that wasn't enough, surviving Buds, going through Buds several times, if you haven't seen Jocko Willink's and Eli Crane's interview, go watch it. It's better than anything you could watch here. Turn this off right now. Go watch that. Turn me off. Come back, I would hope. But go watch it. And you will learn who Eli Crane is. An unflappable man of integrity and drive. Soft-spoken? Absolutely. Simplistic in the way that he communicates? For sure. An ignorant, blowhard racist? Absolutely not. In any way, shape, or form. First night I met Eli. Las Vegas. You had a couple Navy intel guys working there. You had a soft pilot who was there. And then Eli walks in with a good friend of his. And immediately you knew that two operators walked in the room. Every single person who had spent any time with working with special operators knew that they weren't wearing tridents. They didn't have wraparound sunglasses. They didn't have tactical watches on. They just were dressed like everyone else. But you knew from their presence, from their situational awareness. And simply the conversation was already in full swing. Tim Jensen from Grunt Style was there. Dan was there. Plenty of military groups were there. And as we were all having a few shots of whiskey and drinking, he just slides into the conversation, unbeknownst to anybody, and just starts listening. And I will tell you, I watched him for a good 5-10 minutes to make sure, like everybody usually does in a situation like that, of sizing up the person across from you. And what I found was that he was just like anybody else. And the conversation that took place, there was a little bit of alcohol involved. But nothing belligerent, nothing drunk. He wasn't standing on his head wearing a pink tutu and downing the worm. He was just having a few pops with friends. And one thing was sure, as conversations came in and came out and left that circle, and trust me, that was the circle people wanted to be in. Some people who walked in who were completely full of crap, and some people who walked in who everyone listened to. And you could see Eli's reaction ever so subtly every time somebody who was full of crap came in. He didn't challenge. He didn't degrade. He didn't take him out back behind the barn like Corn Pop. He simply just lowered his eyes and disengaged from the conversation. Still listening, still being aware of his surroundings, but really not investing into that person, because there must be so many conversations like that that are completely useless and malignant to the soul, listening to somebody steal valor or pretend like there's something they're not. And that was the one major thing that I recognized about Eli that I thought was a huge quality, let alone his family, his religious values, his kids, being an entrepreneur and a business owner who all of a sudden says, I've got an axe to grind and I'm going to Washington. I predicted Eli would win. And out of the 18 of 17 that were supported, people who were J6ers or, supported, that the election was stolen, Eli Crane has some very strong views that I don't agree with in any way, shape, or form. And we could debate those. but he never brought them up in the election. He focused on the things that were important. He focused on the border. He focused on security. He focused on jobs. He focused on election integrity to ensure that everything about elections, from start to finish, from where you could drop them off to who could vote, who could not, ballot rosters, overall roll call lists, the processes of walking into a polling place and leaving, and what happens from start point A to point Z. These are the things he ran on, and he won. And he won because he didn't care about the mainstream. He wasn't there to get in on every topic. He has a very specific set of ideals and skills that he has demonstrated since he's been in Washington, whether it's going after Mayorkas on topics he understands about, when it comes to Homeland Security, when it comes to the border, being the gain of 20/21 who opposed Kevin McCarthy till the very end, and he was the last vote, as he simply closed the door and walked out and spoke his vote, which affirmed the nomination of Speaker McCarthy without actually opposing the vote. I believe that Eli Crane is an asset to this country. I believe he's an asset to Washington, and I believe that he is a Hoover vacuum cleaner who will clean up the dredges in his districts, the people who are corrupt, and I believe his career is only focused on making impact and change and then popping smoke and getting out. Charlie Mike and doing something else. I believe that. Now I'm going to show you a video. This has been a long introduction, but I thought about doing a 5-minute show. It wouldn't do it justice. But the character assassination that is going on right now, and these false, oh gosh, it is so hard not to cuss right now. I wish it was the live show. So fake, so false, this pearl clutching over Eli Crane doing a Freudian slip, reversing a comment. I do it all the time. I have ADD. I've had ADHD. I've had it my whole life. And I will sometimes transpose letters, and I will sometimes say something differently than most people would say it. I'll fragment a sentence, or I'll put the front of the subject matter in the back and then, causation in the front. I mix things up sometimes. And this is the problem. If you have the ability to do what I do, which is to be able to talk from point A to point B and lay out your entire case like a adjudicator would, well, then that's my gift. But with that, having this and being able to put it here, sometimes things happen and you make mistakes. This is the video. I want you to watch it. I want it to be cathartic. I want it to hit you without necessarily prefacing what it said. Watch this.
Arizona.
Well, Mr. Chairman, though that was unbelievably inspiring, my amendment has nothing to do with whether or not colored people or black people or anybody can serve, okay? It has nothing to do with color of your skin, any of that stuff. What we want to preserve and maintain is the fact that our military does not become a social experiment. We want the best of the best. We want to have standards that guide who's in what unit, what they do. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, the North Koreans, they are not doing this because they want the strongest military possible. I hope my colleagues on the other side can understand what we're doing. Thank you so much.
Mr. Speaker, it's going to be recognized to have the words colored people.
For what purposes generally seek recognition?
I'd like to be recognized to have the words colored people stricken from the record. I find it offensive and very inappropriate.
You could see the reaction from the room. It sucked the wind out of the room. A proverbial pin could drop. A rabbit could fart on J Street, and you would hear it echo throughout the halls. Did Eli know he said it? I don't know. He stayed on track. He's pretty unflappable. The guy is pretty singular track focus in his thought process. That's the one thing I know about Eli. He doesn't get distracted like that. So yeah, he probably did. He probably realized, he probably saw people's faces. He saw the Republicans sitting behind him who were like, oh, I mean, the poker face was horrible. Let's be clear. Is it wrong what Eli said? No. No, it's not. Because every single word in the English dictionary has meaning, and how you use it is absolutely important. He was advocating that his bill has nothing to do about segregation or removing people of color. Is that better? Or anything else from the military, because the military already does that. The military is already selective. They have quotas of how many black people they can bring in, how many lesbians and gays, what type of scores they can have, high school or not high school, married, unmarried. Folks, the United States military is the only acceptable form of prejudice and discrimination from a hiring standpoint left in the United States of America. And good, it should be. It's a selective service. The word is in its definition. It's selective. It's designed to be that way. For cohesion, unit cohesion is the focus, not necessarily equity. If you want equity, go to Disneyland. If you want equality, go to Disneyland. Go watch a Disney movie. You want reality. The reality is that African Americans make up most of the United States military. That is a fact. And we owe a debt of gratitude, and Eli knows that. He had brothers. I know he's brothers with Remy Adalki. I know he has a ton of SEAL team friends who are white, black, brown, and indifferent. It doesn't matter. Color is, at that point in life, color doesn't matter. And I can say that unequivocally because I served. Only thing you care about is that person on your left and their right. Do they do their job? Will they get you home alive? I know Eli's friends with David Goggins. I know he is friends. I don't have to sit here and tell you all the people of color that he's friends with, because you know what? That's not what this is about. This is character assassination. He made a mistake. He's not a politician. The man's not from Harvard or Yale. He doesn't sit with Muffy at tea time. I'm sorry, his intellect is so unpalatable to, the knuckle draggers. What are we, England? What is this, Parliament? The man said something, and then you didn't listen to anything he said up till a minute after that made complete sense. The pussification of the United States military is single-handedly one of the most dangerous things that's happening right now. We don't need a sensitive military. We don't need tailhook. We don't need investigations into wrongdoing. We don't need people going ahead and using it as a free license to commit homicide and wars and atrocities. Of course not. But there is going too far to another side. And having a sensitive military is not the focus, and it shouldn't be. And his bill passed because of that. Now, some people are going to say, oh, it shouldn't have passed, blah, blah, blah. It was a slim margin. I don't care. Anything that distracts from the mission should be removed from the military. And yes, if that means transsexuals, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If it completely breaks the cohesion of the unit, then so be it. If you want diversity and you want equality, go to McDonald's. The United States military has you sign away your rights. The moment that you sign on the dotted line and pee into that cup, and you arrive at whatever duty station you are to go to boot camp, your rights are gone. It is no longer a democracy or a republic. It is a dictatorship, and you are the low person on the totem pole, which means you're going to do the work and yeoman's work until you prove yourself worthy. Now, out of context, was that uncomfortable for some people who are not white to hear? You know what? In today's day and age, everybody was uncomfortable. When I heard it, my heart sank. And I knew what was going to happen. Thousands of articles were going to come out. And it was going to be all over the internet. And all the jerks like Brian Krasenstein and all the Twitter blue check marks who are the ones that were original, who got all upset that they had to pay $8, now are crying because they didn't make enough money from Elon Musk handing out money from Twitter. You know, those people. all the lefties were going to come out and they were going to crucify him. And you know what? It's uncalled for. The simple thing that anyone could have said in that hearing or in that piece of or that legislative body would have been to say, my esteemed colleague made a comment that I disagree with, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he wasn't aware of that. But there is a difference between using the term colored people and people of color in society today. And we don't want to regress back to 1950. Okay, fine. You want to say that? I think it's stupid. It doesn't matter because the NAACP, it's in the word, the advancement of colored people. The advancement of colored people is in the NAACP's title. Is that racist? Can I say the NAACP? Can I be a card-carrying member of the ACLU and the NAACP to support them? Can I give money to them? Is it racist? Eli Crane didn't use the proper jargon for 3 seconds. And people are going to try to discredit him. And this is the problem with politics today. And here it is simply. If you are simply waiting for the moment for somebody to screw up, you're not going to have you're not going to have long to wait. See, I just hit it right there. I was going to say wait too long. See, I do it too. I don't edit my shows. I don't do 5 or 6 takes. I just cut it and I go. And some people say you're long-winded. Well, you try this. You try to defend someone who you admire and respect, and you do it in a 3-minute soundbite. You're not going to do it. If you are waiting for someone to make a mistake, to slip up, to say something, or have something in their past which can discredit them and destroy their career, you will not have long to wait, because it goes back to the original preface of the conversation, which is that everybody has skeletons. Everyone has dirt. Eli Crane made a mistake. You may not like him. You may not appreciate him. You may think his views suck. I don't like a few of his. You may think all those things. But what you don't get to do is call him a racist. He has earned the right for somebody to say, my respected colleague from Arizona, I want to give him a chance to have the notes played back to him so he can hear what was said and let us know what his thoughts are. I want to give my esteemed colleague a second to address the comment he made and to give us the intent behind his comment. And you know what Eli would have said? I certainly did not mean to say that. I transposed my thoughts. I apologize. That's what he would have done. He would have been a man and would have stood up. But instead, even if he did that, even if he does it now in today's society, the vultures would come and pick his bone cleans. And I'm going to say one thing to Eli. I don't know if Jen's going to watch this. I messaged her. I emailed his wife last night because she's helped get him on the show. And she's just a good person. And I hope he watches it. If anything, he comes to this last part. And the advice I would give him, because I'm told all the time, Matt should do should run campaigns for people. All right, well, here's my thing. Don't apologize. Don't put out a statement. Ignore it. Because if you do, that will be used against you. It's already going to be used against you. You have a chance to respond to this, and it can be done in your campaign. Don't distract from the message. Don't distract from the bill. Don't distract from the legislation, because that's all they want to do. They want to turn this into racism. They want to call you a maggot, a MAGA-T. They want to call you a racist. They want to call you a xenophobic, a transphobic, and this gives them justification to do that. They can't do it half-cocked, but now they can. Let them do it, because you're not there to answer to them. You're not there to answer to the mob. You're not there to answer to Washington, D.C. and the swamp. You are there to represent your constituents, and I believe you do that. I believe they know you do that. Don't bend. The one thing about special warfare fighters and operators is that when they should withdraw, when they should tuck tail and run, they don't. They full tilt. And in this one, I would recommend the same. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Tonight we are live with Still Point at 8 o'clock. Friday Night Live, Red Friday. Still Point's going to be releasing a new song. It's fantastic. They are going to be touring all summer long. If you haven't heard them, they do our theme music. They are a fantastic band. Please do me a favor. Share, like, and subscribe if you would not mind. I appreciate you watching. We will go out like we always do with the Veteran Crisis Hotline. 22 veterans a day commit suicide. Please do me a favor. Listen to this message and share it. See you tonight at 8 o'clock. God bless. Eli, stay strong, buddy. See ya.
I'm David Boreanaz with the Cast of SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets.
We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important, you are important.
For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call